a French accent, in case you didn't recognize it. The bad news is that sometimes it's difficult to understand me. That's also the good news, because maybe I have nothing to say. Okay? And the very good news is that whenever you have an accent, it's good, because only dead people don't have an accent. So I plan to keep mine for a while. Getting older, so it won't be that long. At least, hopefully, I can make it until the end of this talk. So, what I'm going to give you is a bunch of facts. I'll give you my impression, my interpretation of the facts, but really, we should stick to the facts. I'll give you a little bit an idea of what I mean. It's up to you to make up your mind. So I'm not here to tell you what you think. You look at the facts, you look at the level, and you decide what it means for you. Also, I'm going to stay in my lane. Did you notice when you stay in your lane, you're fairly safe? As soon as you go into another area, it's not your lane, you risk an accident. So my lane is health. You have many problems in Bayou-Corne. You have the sinkhole, you have the explosive, you have all kinds of other problems. That's not my job, and I don't have too many ideas about what they mean. My job is to take the health data and to see, to compare with what we know, the science that we know, and to try to explain a little bit what to think about it. But just the facts. I know at the end of the session, a bunch of people are going to be satisfied listening and knowing a little bit more. Some people that already have made up their mind are going to be unhappy, because probably it's not what they expect. And I'm sorry for that. I'm just giving you the facts, okay? I've done that thing for many years. So about 20 years I've done mostly infectious disease epidemiology, but also some of the environmental epidemiology for many, many years. I went through many, many, many meetings where people were upset and they were complaining, and so I'm used to it. Feel free. So here we have a map where you all know how it looks like. And we are going to start with the environmental monitoring. So the first thing you do when you have a problem with the environment is to look at the levels of chemicals, of the radioactivity, of whatever there is in the environment that might impact the health of the people. And I'm going to stick to the health. Fairly often people have difficulties with the quality of life. That's a completely different area, and I'll stick just to the health effects. So the environmental monitoring, some of the slides just to give you an idea of how much chemicals in the environment have been measured. So there is no need to go through the entire list, but you can see there were some with the mobile laboratory. Another one, that yellow box, is a small yellow box, can be very small and can be much bigger, and it gives some quick results. You see the locations where they have looked at them? I think it would be easier if we can move that a little bit closer.
Take the speaker.
Okay? So you look at the locations. You have the ambient air, the bubbles, evacuation area, the well sites, the slurry sites, bubble in the water, Texas brine sites. I mean, they have measured chemical level everywhere. Some of the places where you measure the chemical, the most important is the ambient air, because that's the one you breathe, that's the one that's going to get into your lung. Some of the other sites don't mean that much. If you look at the bubble site, right on top of the bubble, that's going to go and get diluted in the entire air. So it would be the same looking at the tailpipe of a car and looking at the air in the gas station. You can see the tailpipe of the car is going to have a lot more chemical than if you go and measure the air in the gas station. Now the people in the gas station will breathe the air of the gas station. They don't have their nose right on the tailpipe. So some of the measurements are more useful to understand the health consequences than some of the other ones. So the bubbles are interesting because you know what's coming out, but nobody breathes the bubble. What you breathe is the air that's outside. So we are going to emphasize mostly the results that can impact your health, the air, the ambient air that goes into your lung. Sure. Yeah, but also, yeah. Or you push the big part. This is to give you an idea of the air monitoring. What you are going to see in the next few slides is just to give you an idea of the amount of data that they have accumulated and that we have to go through. So here you have an idea of the air monitoring, and there are pages and pages. I'll have a summary at the end. So next. This is, you can see here a lot more detail. You can see the list of all the chemicals that they have analyzed. Some are more important than others. And I'm going to go through a few of them. You are going to go see, I've picked out those that usually are the most important, and that would be benzene, toluene, native benzene, and xylene. And fairly often we summarize that as BTEX, BTEX. And there are a few others. So you can see here the list of the one and the concentration in parts per billion. A part per billion, so it's a very, very small quantity. If you want to get an idea, look at one flea for one elephant. So part per billion can be by weight, or it can be by volume. When it's by volume, that's what we put ppb and a V. So a part per billion is by one flea for one elephant. That does not tell you much. Even a small part per billion could kill somebody. So always when we are going to give you some results for you to look at the facts, I'll give you some example of how much do we find in the regular household, how much do we find in the city, how much do we find in the rural area, and you can compare that with what was found in the biocorn area. So go to the next one. So you can see that there were long, long list of chemicals. And here, from that kind of sample, there was 3,955. And on each sample, you have a long list of chemicals that was measured. Because these machines are made not to look, some of them look at one chemical, some of them are going to look at a list of 20 chemicals. And so what we have to do is to try to pick out those chemicals that are more representative, that are more likely to cause health problems, so you can compare what's going on. So next. Then we looked also data. So you have monitoring of the air, and that's probably the more important. Then you have monitoring of the bubbles. And here you can see the chemical, and fairly often you are going to see throughout the slides the chemical of concern. You have to pick some of them. You cannot go through the 30 of them and try to evaluate. So we pick the benzene, toluene, ethyl benzene, and xylene. You can see that the bubble site in one of the time where they looked at what was inside the bubble, you would have 0 to 32 parts per billion of benzene. Now, to compare that, to give you an idea of how much is that, in the car tailpipe, you have an average of 12. And of course, it depends on the car. If you look at the cars from the 70s, the 80s, it was about 100 times more than that. But the newer car with the catalytic converter will have lowered the amount of benzene, for example, that goes out. So you have the second one, the toluene, it's 34 to 1,000. What you find in the air around the gas station, 2,400. In a busy traffic area, you have 350 parts per billion. When you have toluene, especially when you do the fingernails, Well, obviously not everybody does their fingernails and put varnish on them, but some people do. So it's just, all that is to give you an idea, because just a number does not tell you much. It allows you to compare and to see. 800 to 2,400. And after application of the fingernail varnish, it goes down to 50 to 270.
Which ones are either hazardous to your health? Any of these hazardous to your health? Benzene?
Dose makes the poison.
Huh?
The quantity makes the poison.
All of them?
Anything, even water, can poison you. I don't know if you remember, about a few years ago there was a contest where people had to drink water and hold it. There was a lady that was drinking pure, good water, and she died. Because if you drink too much water at a time, it's going to produce an imbalance, and she died of drinking too much water. Of course, water is not toxic, it's very useful, and unless you are crazy to go into a contest like that, water will not kill you. But there is one principle, is that any product could be toxic, it's the dose. So you can see the toluene, for example. So you look at very small dose and you have no idea. And throughout here you are going to see examples of how much chemicals we are exposed to. And so you can compare. That comparison is always so. Yes, benzene is toxic. Water is toxic, not so much. Benzene is a lot more toxic. So a very small quantity is going to cause problem. Toluene